Hi guys, and welcome back to Hilltop Farm, and welcome to another episode of From the Hen House. And also welcome to another episode in the series we're calling, I think it's number 3 in the series we're calling The Great Chicken Experiment. Well, hatch day has come and gone, and it was a bit of a mixed bag, and please ignore the papillons fighting on the floor here. We have Molly and Pepper and Pepper's son Rolly all fighting on the floor in front of me just in time for filming, so please ignore that. Yes, the hatch was a mixed bag. The bantams were very successful indeed. The mixed breed chickens, not quite as much. But I don't actually believe that was down to anything we did wrong. We noticed that we put a dozen eggs in each of those trays we put in our incubators with the wood shavings in them, and one of them, I think we only got a couple hatch. So I'm suspecting that dozen eggs that he gave us were actually a bit old. They all seem to die in those final days. So that's what I'm attributing it to, because the other 3 trays were brilliant, and my goodness how gorgeous they are. The colours are spectacular, absolutely spectacular. But I won't rave about that, I'll just show you. Here you go. Okay, we've divided them into 2 groups. The first group is the group, because we're doing another little experiment here. This is all about experimenting with chickens. This is just on a sidebar here. Helen thinks she's noticed something that possibly will help us sex the babies when they're young. Now, I'm not going to tell you what it is in case it's wrong and everyone cries out that, you got it wrong, you got it wrong. We've actually separated into 2 lots, what we think is the boys, what we think is the girls. You probably think we're crazy, because the second lot we showed you, which is the one that's got a lot of blacks in it, that's the one we think is the boys, and we're actually going to sell those as week-old chicks. And from memory, I think there's about a dozen of them, and I think there's about 19 that we reckon are female. 4 or 5 of those are your regular chickens, the rest are the bantams. So wait and see. The ones we keep, let's wait and see if they're girls, and if they're not girls, what ratio of boys, you know, did we get it totally wrong? Are we totally you know, out there, or did we just get 1 or 2 wrong? So anyway, stick around and we'll see, and if there's something in her method, then with our next lot I will show you what this great method is. Which of course brings me on to another subject, yet another experiment in the Great Chicken Experiment. And I must confess, we have actually done this once before, bit sneaky. Now, I don't know what the deal is in your part of the world. Different countries have different customs and they do things differently. Sometimes laws come into place where you can and can't do certain things. But I can only go by what we do here in Australia. Now, I have noticed our last lot of fertile eggs we got really, really cheap, okay? Which if you watch, I think, episode 1, I explain all that. Episode 1 of the Great Chicken Experiment, that is. Now, if normally to get a dozen fertile eggs of a set breed, we're talking here, you're usually looking at upwards of $20. Okay, probably spring and early summer when there are, you know, thousands of eggs around. You know, your more common varieties are sort of, you know, your 25 to 30 group, and you know, your rarer ones. But I mean, if you're going for a season where you know, the hens sometimes lay, they sometimes don't, you know, one of those off sort of peak seasons, and you're going for a rare breed, I mean, you could be paying $60, $80 a dozen. I mean, and I've done that a couple of times, but generally not. Generally, I tend to cap it at about 30, but even so, that's a lot of money. And what a lot of people in the country here in Australia do, you know, when they have chickens, when they have too many eggs, they put a little stand or something out at the roadway where their driveway is, and they'll have a sign up, you know, fresh eggs, whatever, and they're usually cheap. They're cheaper than the supermarket. And of course, free range eggs in the supermarket, if you're really lucky, you can get them for about $5.50, and they're anything up to $10 depending on, you know, whether the chickens were fed caviar or what. Look, I don't know, but that's sort of the price range. But roadside, you can get chickens from eggs from people's backyard chickens for, you know, $4 or $5. It's quite normal. Sometimes less. And we thought of this a couple of years ago. Actually, we were actually out somewhere, and our chickens were having a real off season, and we needed eggs. And we saw by the side of the road that chicken eggs were $4 a dozen. Now, this property was relatively remote. The nearest neighbours were probably half a mile to a mile either side of them, and I saw, you know, once they had 2 dozen, and we sort of thought when we left, I said to Helen that I reckon, you know, they'd have a rooster out here. This isn't a suburban area we have to worry about noise, and of course there's predators out here, so you'd think they'd have a rooster, wouldn't you? She said, what are you getting at? And I said, I want to put a dozen of these in the incubator to see what happens. Well, we did. And that was back at a time where we were having trouble with our incubator, didn't have a very great success rate. Anyway, but we had 2 babies hatch. Now, one was a cockerel, although a very striking, not quite as dark as the Rhode Island, but he was getting there. Nice red cockerel. But the female we got, and we've subsequently lost her, she was the most striking golden colour, and you know how, you know, some chickens, their feathers have a sheen and they shine in the sun. This was a brilliant golden colour and shone in the sun. One of the prettiest chickens we've ever had. And we were out today, and we happened to be going past the same property, and again they had the for sale sign out the front for eggs. So I said to Helen, oh look, we've got to stop, we've got to I said, for the sake of, you know, there was a couple of egg cartons in there. I said, for the sake of $8, I'm going to get 2 dozen eggs, and let's see if we can hatch us, you know, some of those beautiful chickens that we had a couple of years ago. So we did. And then further along, there was another property that had 2 dozen eggs available. And again, same sort of situation. I said, you know, all the eggs are very different shapes, sizes and colours. So I'm guessing quite a mixed flock they've got. Whereas the first lot we looked at, like last time, were all very uniform. You know, nice colour eggs, nice brown, and those ones that are almost round, you know what I mean? They were all quite a noticeable shape, and this lot we got today were the same. But as for the second place, all different shapes and sizes and colours, so they obviously have a mixed flock. And again, where they are, I feel confident that they will have a rooster. My point being, for less than I would normally pay for a dozen eggs of a specific breed, I've got 4 dozen eggs here. Right? Now, you can do any number of things. You can hatch them all out, sell the whole lot as day-old chicks. You can run them on and send the ones you don't want to freezer camp, and keep the ones you do want to add to your flock. Or run them on, add what you want to your flock, sell the rest of the pullets, and put the boys in freezer camp. Who knows? Any one of those combinations we're sort of open to. But my point is, for such a small outlay, if you have the opportunity, try it. Because I guarantee you, if you knocked on the door of these people and said, oh, you know, fellow farmer here, I'm actually wanting to buy a dozen fertile eggs off you. As soon as you insert the word fertile, they're going to say, oh yeah, we can do that, $20, $25, whatever. Whereas the ones out by the road are exactly the same for $4. Now, it might seem dishonest, but I don't believe it is. They've left a product out by the side of the road with a price tag. I've been honest enough to leave the money. I've taken them. They haven't specified these are for eating or cooking only. They're just selling eggs. As far as I'm concerned, once I've purchased them, it's up to me what I do with them. So, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so that's about all I'm going to be covering in this From the Hen House. Got any comments or questions, leave them in the comments below. We will be back to show you the progress of the so-called hens out here that we're going to be keeping, and obviously the progress of the 4 dozen what do we call them? Mongrel eggs, shall we call them? Not sure what to call them. Roadside eggs. We call them roadside eggs. Sounds a bit nicer than mongrel eggs, doesn't it? Okay, and we'll follow the progress of those. Okay, so if you like this video, give us a big thumbs up. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any other of our videos, and hit the bell so you get notified every time we put out a video. Also, check out the link below to our Patreon page. Go across and have a read and consider becoming a patron. We really would appreciate it if you do. You don't have to, but you'd be really helping out the channel if you did. Okay, so until next time, it's goodbye from Hilltop Farm. See ya!